Let me tell you an incredible story. 2 years ago, I painted this painting just from imagination, and by chance happened to run into its doppelganger in real life. 2 years later, I decided to meet this woman and learn all about her. This is Katya's story.
Hi, Katya. Thank you so much for joining, for participating in our Women Who Inspire project.
Thanks for having me.
Tell us who you are and what you do.
Okay, so my name's Katya, and I am a early childhood educator.
So I know that you decided to pursue your passion somewhat later in life. What made you decide to go into early childhood education?
So I was working as a cook at a center in Toronto, and I actually had my supervisor. I'd been working there probably for, I want to say, a couple of years. And she actually said to me, "Hey, you know what? You're good with the kids because I've had to stand in different age groups, just as a educational assistant." And she told me, "Hey, like you're great with the kids. Why don't you try doing this?" And I ended up going and applying to Seneca to do a early childhood apprenticeship or a child development practitioner course. And she really pushed me to do it and believed in me. So she was the first official push I had to do it, and I'm really, really glad that I did. Yeah.
Before that, did you ever think of working with children?
Didn't I mean, I feel like I just really did kind of gravitate towards kids. They gravitated towards me. It's not like I'd had a lot of experience even around kids until I started working in a center. It's just one of those things, I guess, you discover about yourself and while people look for their purpose. Like, I'm grateful that it happened that way for me. But no, I never would have seen myself doing that or being around kids. I actually always thought I'd be like a nurse or something, but I've always known I wanted to help people. So, yeah.
What is something about children that most people don't understand or appreciate?
So I definitely feel that children's learning styles are overlooked. Every child learns differently, whether that's someone who's more analytical and has to read things in order to understand them versus someone who's a visual learner. I think that just recognizing that in children, sometimes I feel like it's overlooked. And it's also time. I find with children, they don't have a concept of time. It's only as we age that it starts becoming more and more important as you get more and more responsibilities. So I feel like children are always, and I'm guilty of it as a mom as well, like just rushing my kid to get ready. Come on, you got to put on your shoes. But there's ways to adapt to it.
People don't understand that children don't have a concept of time.
Mhm.
So they go about their worlds and just live in the moment, really. And we're like on all these schedules and trying to rush them and getting frustrated with them.
Yeah.
So would you say that people just need to like step back a little, understand that they're in a completely different world?
I do. I think it's a good reminder also for us as adults to actually live in the moment. There are so many times I'm sure parents are running to get their phone to capture the perfect moment on camera. And that's our concept of time. Like, I need to capture this now so I have it for later versus living in the actual moment. And I find like if from observing children, it's such a good moment when you're standing back and you're actually watching a child in what they're engaged in and you actually learn way more about a child by observing what they're doing than constantly chasing their ability to do things in the moment, like how quickly they can put on their shoes, how quickly they can get dressed. They're doing these things for you because they want to honor you and like do them, right? But then I feel like sometimes, and like I said, I'm guilty of it too, parents forget that like they're they get bored like really easily just because they've stopped having their fun. So, and we forget that as we get older too. So
Yeah.
yeah.
It's not as much about fun when you get older.
Yeah.
You're a mom.
Yeah.
How has becoming a mother changed your perspective on life and how you approach your personal and professional goals?
Oh man, so it changed everything. It made me responsible for another human being. Personally and professionally, I felt like for me, I put a hold on everything and kind of just focused on my son. He was a big saving grace for me. He pushed me to be better because I had someone I needed to provide for. And you have this little human that you're raising that's going to contribute to society one day. And there's like a pressure that comes with that, but it's such a beautiful experience as well because as he's growing, I'm growing, and all the little things just I can bring into both my personal life because I choose to have more patience because you're also tested as a mother on your patience and your willingness to give back and give in and like all these things. Like you're just tested in so many ways. So I think that it's been for the better.
What advice would you give to parents who are about to have their first kid?
Recognize that it doesn't come with a manual.
Mm-hmm.
And that being said, value yourself and the type of human being that you want to raise. Stick to your core values. Like values again are huge. And don't be afraid to set your child up for the type of life that you wish to see for them. But also honor your child as they grow to be who they are. Number one, more than anything, get down on your child's level and actually talk to them. That is probably the biggest advice I would give. One of the things that I do with my son, and it's almost religious for us, is we read a story at bedtime and we talk, even if it's for a short time. Children are the most vulnerable at bedtime, and you will get some of the most profound conversations with your kid at those times. And it's just like a load off for them.
Do you mean talk about the book or just ask them like about their day? What should you ask them?
I don't really ask generic questions, believe it or not, to my kid. Like a lot of parents I find are like, hey, so how was your day? I like to do things like, what's one thing that you did that was kind for someone else today? Be more specific. I feel like critical thinking is something that's dying in our society. And I feel like children are, the casualties of it because they're taught how to think specifically and not more understood for their way of thinking. And I feel like there are so many ideas out there. Imagine the human brain. It's like you can probably get more of a child who's critically thinking for themselves by giving them kind of asking them questions about stuff like, tell me about what you did. Why did you build it that way? Versus like, wow, good job. I don't do like, oh, you're the smartest or you're so intelligent. I tell them like, good job, good effort, putting in that effort.
Mm-hmm.
Because effort's everything. And then it just makes them want to put more effort into things. That's my theory behind it. So
Mm-hmm. Do you think kids understand like how was your day? Is that too like broad for them?
when you ask a child how their day was, most of the time you're going to get good. Okay. But if you don't ask them a thought-provoking question, it might never open up a level of conversation or a learning opportunity. And that's the thing, make way for learning opportunities for your child. If you see them frustrated doing something, well, how can you do that differently? Or let's look at a different way to do it. But I feel like parents need to definitely take the time. Take the time because it's going to pass really, really quickly. And society eventually gets a hold and tries to raise your kids for you at a certain age. So just stand by them and be there with them so that you have that relationship with them to the best of your ability.
Who are some women that you look up to?
So for me as an early childhood educator, I have to say my supervisor definitely pushed me. And I even just standing back and watching her genuine care for the kids, really motivated me. I've met professors, there are two professors at Seneca College that they were all great, but these two were just phenomenal. They inspired me. And I have to say my mom, like she came here from Lebanon as an immigrant. She didn't know much English. She was pregnant with me. I was born 7 days after they arrived. So I don't know how they got over that hump, but she definitely is a huge inspiration to me because she's had to face a lot of trials and give up a lot of things for myself and my siblings. And even now she gives like unapologetically and just has the biggest heart. Just really teaches me to have a backbone, but you can do that and still be kind and show love to others. So, yeah.
That's really nice. Wow. And I really see this like twinkle in your eye of like light and I don't know, purpose, but that's just happiness in your eyes when you're talking about your work and your mom and people who inspire you. So
Yeah,
touching.
thank you so much. I love working with kids. They really just get you to see the world differently.
What advice would you give to someone who is looking for their passion in life?
Don't push the timing of things. Don't always feel like you're in control. Control the immediate things you can control, but there's no deadline. There's no timeline, I think, for someone to find their purpose. I think when we put a deadline on things like that, the type of pressure is not always the best pressure. That being said, I like definitely set goals for yourself and find what brings you the most joy. For me, it just kind of snuck up on me. And I really pushed forward in getting my education when I was pregnant with my son. Actually, my first semester, I did 5 courses and work
And you're
pregnant.
pregnant?
Yeah, I was pregnant. I was pregnant. Yeah. It's just, I feel like to find your purpose, sometimes it just hits you. And for people who just really want to find it and just bunker down and figure it out, just ask yourself questions about what brings you true happiness. What are you good at? Pick one skill, something you're really good at, and like how can you serve others? Because I believe in serving others. So
So take what you can do,
yeah,
what you're good at,
yeah,
and help others with it.
yeah, yeah, and run with it. I mean, there's a huge difference between, having a career and it just being work. And I feel like when you find a balance, everyone wants that. I mean, no one wants to go to work and be like, oh, I gotta go.
Hmm.
I mean, you have your days, but I feel like you really find your purpose when you ask yourself the right questions.
That's wonderful.
Thanks.
Tell us about these books here.
These books. Okay, so these books I came across when I was thrifting, and they're phenomenal books. These are Values to Live By. They're a book series from the 80s, and they teach children about values I feel like our world definitely today could benefit from in teaching children. They range from kindness to pride, courage, honesty, selflessness, helping others. And I have a desire, a hobby, a little mini dream of reading these books and having a channel to just bring these books to others, because I just feel like these values are ones that I want to instill in my son, and I try to every day. And I feel like it would be great to just have that in society, more kindness and pride. And I feel like children need to understand these values and hold them at their core. I feel like you just are a better human being. I just feel like you just grow differently, and I feel like you grow with an empathy for others and just like an understanding for other human beings outside of oneself. So
Okay.
yeah.
I think kindness is sort of explanatory. What is pride?
Pride as taking what you feel about yourself and recognizing that first for yourself, and then not being afraid to show it to others. Being like prideful can be in one's self-care, how you present yourself. You can feel proud of yourself for completing a task that you've worked really, really hard at. And pride is seeing the best in oneself, unapologetically just putting it out there and being oneself.
Katya,
Yeah.
I have something for you.
For me?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Here.
Okay. They're just, oh my gosh.
Yep.
I was not expecting. This is so sweet. Oh, stop this. Okay, story time?
Okay. Do you want to hear how even wilder that is? This painting, I called it Meant to Be
Stop.
before I met you. Okay, that was just the title I gave it. I even wrote it on the corner, and I just called it Meant to Be. And I can't believe that we met and you just stood beside me. You're like, oh my God, it looks like. And we're here now. But I really wanted to serve as a inspiration for you, like kind of like an acknowledgement of your accomplishment and your passion. And I hope that it brings you, I hope it brings you joy and inspiration, because you contribute so much to children and the next generation, even by raising your own and all the kids that you serve.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. This is beautiful.
Some people are just meant to be in your life, whether through art, chance, or something greater. Hearing Katya talk about the impact of early childhood education and the love she pours into her work was truly inspiring. Her advice for parents, caregivers, and anyone who works with children is something that we all need to hear. And now, this painting has even more meaning than I could have ever imagined. If this story resonated with you, let me know in the comments. And if you believe more people need to hear her message, share this with someone who would love it.